Computational English by Lucian Green Radical Difference Forum 4. 31. I prepared to identify multiple roots. I did this by identifying the radical root of life. First, I identified the first root thought. Second, I identified the second thought. Third, I identified the third thought. In this way, I prepared to identify multiple roots by identifying the radical root of life. 32. I prepared to go to heaven, e.g. walking on dry land. I did this by identifying the difference in life. First, I identified the sailor. Second, I identified him on a boat. Third, I identified him walking on land. In this way, I prepared to go to heaven, e.g. walking on dry land, by identifying the difference in life. 33. I prepared to define a contention and write arguments for and against a side. I did this by writing 8 area of study points. First, I wrote that 8 was the minimum number of area of study points. Second, I connected these in an argument structure. Third, I applied that area of philosophy to the ideas. In this way, I prepared to define a contention and write arguments for and against a side by writing 8 area of study points. 34. I prepared to debate the algorithm. I did this by writing 95 area of study points. First, I wrote the reason, objection, rebuttal and connection with a previous reason or objection in that paragraph. Second, I repeated this for 5 reasons per paragraph. Third, I repeated this for 5 paragraphs. In this way, I prepared to debate the algorithm by writing 95 area of study points. 35. I prepared to compare Brayesoning's currency subject with the idea. I did this through radical verificationism. First, I compared the Brayesoning's currency subject with sex. Second, I looked at the rod. Third, I prevented it from entering the void. In this way, I prepared to compare Brayesoning's currency subject with the idea through radical verificationism. 36. I prepared to write on different contentions. I did this through examinationism. First, I examined the reason. Second, I examined it further. Third, I examined it one more time. In this way, I prepared to write on different contentions through examinationism. 37. I prepared to be a writer. I did this by studying short courses throughout my life and writing a maximum of 80 Brayesonings per day per student. First, I write 13 and 1/3 paragraphs per day. Second, I stated each of these contained 6 sentences. Third, I wrote this equal daily Brayesonings. In this way, I prepared to be a writer by studying short courses throughout my life and writing a maximum of 80 Brayesonings per day per student. 38. I prepared to make fine distinctions. I did this by writing a maximum of 80 Brayesonings per day per actor in the production. First, I Brayesoned out 10 Brayesonings per each of the 10 characters. Second, I attributed the other Brayesonings to eggs. I asked the acting agents to work on them. Third, I Brayesoned out 80 Brayesonings per day for everyone, to keep their heads comfortable. In this way, I prepared to make fine distinctions by writing a maximum of 80 Brayesonings per day per actor in the production. 39. I prepared to affirm that I was well. I did this by writing academic aims for some arguments. First, I wrote the academic aim. Second, I wrote the argument for it. Third, I connected malahedrons, sick, and the antipsychotic medication. In this way, I prepared to affirm that I was well by writing academic aims for some arguments. 40. I prepared to dress the perspective for excavation. I did this by writing industry aims for some arguments. First, I wrote the movie. Second, I wrote the play. Third, I wrote the song. In this way, I prepared to dress the perspective for excavation by writing industry aims for some arguments. 41. I prepared to promote my books. I did this by reading the argument statistics. First, I wrote an essay of the most popular arguments. Second, I wrote a secondary text of the most popular arguments. Third, I wrote a translation of the most popular arguments. In this way, I prepared to promote my books by reading the argument statistics. 42. I prepared to solve the other writer's ideas in my writing. I did this by preventing theft of my arguments. First, I read my ideas. Second, I read the ideas written by the other writer. Third, I verified that each set was unique. In this way, I prepared to solve the other writer's ideas in my writing by preventing theft of my arguments.